Hi, I'm Mandy, Head of International Sales. Happy New Year to everyone. Today I'm actually running a program called Canada Prudentials and Invest in Canada. So I'll be your moderator for the whole international series. We'll be running a series all across different countries, and we will share it one by one with you guys. Stay tuned with us. Hi everyone, I'm Mandy again. Welcome to Property Zone International Series. Today we have a very honorable to invite a special guest from all the way from Canada, Mr. Yousaf. Hi Mr. Yousaf, how are you?
Thank you very much, Mandy. I'm doing very good. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure coming to Malaysia, all the from Canada. Just to give you a little introduction about myself. I am the country head for Jawai IQI, broker of record for IQI Global Real Estate. I've been in real estate for the last 10 years. So we do all sorts of residential, commercial, pre-construction sales in Canada.
That's great. Okay, tell us a little bit of the Canada.
Sure. In terms of the size of the Canada, Canada is the second largest country in the world.
Wow.
It is the 10th world's largest economy in the world. It has a nominal GDP of approximately $1.73 trillion.
Wow, okay. But what about the populations in terms of the whole Canada?
The population for the Canada is about 35,881,000 as of 2018. So it's close to about 36 million right now in population. Now, most of the population living is in three major, I would say, provinces. One is Ontario, the other one is Quebec, and the third one is the British Columbia.
Okay, where do you base actually?
We're based in Ontario, Toronto.
Okay.
That's our office.
So are you born in Canada or?
No, I actually moved in Canada in 2006, so I've been there for almost like 13, 14, 15 years now. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty long. Okay, so in terms of, I understand that there's lots of students that's actually going to Canada and study as well, right?
There's a lot of students. We have close to about 700,000 students as of 2019. We found out about it, who are registered in Canada on that. One more thing I want to add is that when I was talking about the Canada, the per capita income for Canada is close to about $48,600 is the per capita is the GDP for Canada.
Oh, that's quite a lot. It's a huge amount as well. Okay, any popular universities in Canada that you can actually mention?
Oh yes, lots of them. Of course, McGill is number one. Is in Montreal. University of Toronto is there. University of Kitchener-Waterloo is there. Hamilton, they have McMaster University, which is very much famous for the medical. So there's a lot of international students who come every year to Canada just for the study purposes on that.
Oh, but roughly it's like majority students are come from which countries?
It's a mix of a lot of countries. We do get a lot of people come from the Asia as well.
Oh, okay.
And then I would say majority is from the Asia part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that Canada is actually a very cold country, so that's the impressions that everybody
No.
was.
That's the wrong impression. We have all four seasons, by the way.
Oh,
People
right.
think it's always no.
Yeah.
It's not cold always.
Everybody thought that it's always winter.
Yeah, maybe in January, February you could say in winter, but actually Canada has all four seasons. I would say that the winter is a bit harsh, but it's only for about harsh weather for a couple of months. We do have spring. We have a beautiful summer. You actually feel the heat. You feel like, oh my God, it's hot. And also we have autumn. So we have all four seasons there. So
but as to compare to the weather, it's not as hot as Malaysia's, right?
No, because Malaysia weather continues for the whole year, right?
Yeah.
So we try to enjoy everything, right? So we have White Christmas as well.
Wow. Okay, I wish I have White Christmas as well. Okay, I guess there's in terms of tourism, that a lot of people actually visited Canada as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when you talk about tourism and we talk about Canada, you just cannot forget about Niagara Falls, right? You have to talk about Niagara Falls. So one of the very hotspot tourist attraction is, of course, Niagara Falls. Again, second most beautiful attraction I would say is Banff and the Rocky Mountains. A lot of people visit there as well. And then there's other spots as well because of its size. There are so many landscapes and so many other falls and if you look at the full overall scenario, it's a beautiful country.
Oh, okay. Okay, for those that who stay tuned with us, we have question and answers later on. Whoever can give us the best answers that close to the questions that I asked later on, you will actually receive a gift from us. And the gift is actually Sony digital alarm clock with LCD display. Stay tuned with us. Okay, come back here.
I can answer that question as well.
No, not for you. Unfortunately.
No, okay,
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the general markets of Canada because for Malaysians here, Canada is actually pretty new to us, and especially we come to talk about investment as well. So can you enlighten us? It's like about
sure,
the
absolutely.
markets?
So the real estate market in Canada has been on an upward trend for last few years. One of the main reasons for it is also the immigration population. So we have a lot of immigrants coming to Canada every year, which is close to about 300 to 350,000 people coming every year on that. If I talk to you specifically about the markets, and I want to touch base on three markets specifically: the Toronto market, the Montreal market, and the Vancouver market, where I was telling you that major of the population is there as well on that. So if I give you a little comparison of what happened in 2019, for example, in Montreal, the average price increase was close to about 6 to 7%. The sales were up by 15%. If I look at Vancouver, the increase was a slightly bit more lower. It was about like 3%. But if I look at the Toronto market or the Ontario market, the overall again, the price increase was up by close to about 8%, I would say, in terms of its appreciation. The sales were up by about 12 to 14% as well in Toronto. So if you look at the overall scenario for Ontario or for Canada in the real estate market, we've been seeing an upward trend. Again, one of the reasons is that the interest rates have been pretty affordable, and there's also new programs which government is coming up with. One of the programs is called the First Time Home Buyer Incentive Program. If you're a first time home buyer and you have 5% in equity, you can actually put up, you can get another loan of 5% from the Bank of Canada for a first time home buyer. So there's pretty much a lot of programs have been introduced, and we've been seeing it on an upward trend right now.
Oh, that's great to know that. For those who wants to know more about Canada market, please stay tuned. We're going for a commercial break, but here there's an questions for you to win the prize. The question is that, what is the populations of Canada? Whoever can give us the closest answers will win a Sony radio alarm clock with LCD display. Stay tuned. Commercial break. See you later. Hi, remember what's the question just now that I posed? I will repeat again. What is the populations of Canada? Whoever can give the closest answers will win a Sony radio alarm clock with LED display. Okay, let's come back again. Okay, just now you did mention about the potential market in Canada. And I was just wondering, what kind of policies for investor to go into investments in this case?
So generally, if you are, I'll give you two things here now. Anybody who is a resident of permanent resident or a citizen of Canada, they can own a property as low as 5% down payment. As I was mentioning you that there's a first-time home buy incentive program. Even if you're not under that category, as an immigrant or as a citizen, you can own a property with a 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% down payment. Interest rates are historically really still low. You could actually get financing rate of about 2.69% all the way to 3.14 on that. And that is as far as the local residents are concerned. When it comes to international investors, the good thing is that Canada welcomes international investors all over the world.
Wow, that's
so
great
there is no minimum requirement as such. I believe in certain countries there's a minimum requirement that you got to invest this much for foreign buyers. So the good thing about Canada is that there is no minimum investment. You can buy a property as low as $50,000, obviously if you find one, and you could go as high as whatever you want on that. So the investment criteria that way is not an issue. The other part I just want to mention is about the financing. The good thing is that the non-residents can get a financing as well.
Is it through local banks or?
It is through local banks. What you will have to do is that they still have to verify your income in whichever country you are living in. It's something of a similar criteria, but they still want to know what are your assets, how much are you making, how much are you paying your taxes. So they do all of their due diligence on that. But the good part is that you can get a financing up to 50%. In some cases up to 60%. So if you come up with 50% of your own money, you can get 50% financing as well on that. So which is again a great thing, especially for the foreign buyers on that.
Is there any restrictions like when it comes to foreigner investments, a foreigner can only invest in those off the plans, or they can actually buy into secondary markets as well?
There is no restriction at all. As I mentioned, there's no restriction in terms of the amount. There's no restriction in buying or selling as well. So you can actually buy into pre-construction. You can actually buy into secondary market. The only difference would be in the pre-construction is that if a resident has to put up a deposit of 20%, a non-resident will have to put up a higher deposit of 35%. Again, the reason is that they could get financing up to 50%. So that's the only difference. There is no quota system. There is no difference in price. So whatever price a resident is getting, you will, as a non-resident, you will get the same price as well. So absolutely no difference at all on that.
Okay, I understand that from Australian market, it's like foreigner can only sell the properties to the locals and citizens. How about Canada?
Anyone. So basically, for example, if I'm a non-resident and you're also a non-resident, I can sell it to you. I'm a non-resident, you're a resident, I can sell it to you. So everyone can sell to each other. So there is absolutely no restriction. That's the beauty of it. So there is, in terms of its how should I put it, restrictions, there's no restrictions as such on that.
So that's actually quite flexible for the foreigners to invest in Canada.
They are quite flexible. The only thing is that what I just want to add is that there is a new tax which was introduced called as NRST, which is a non-resident sales tax. This was introduced in 2017 in Vancouver, and certain parts of Ontario, not all of Ontario, what we call as a golden horseshoe. There are certain areas what we call as a Greater Toronto area. If you're a non-resident and you don't have any immigration status, or then you pay a 15% sales tax, which is a non-resident speculation tax, you could say, or a sales tax. The reason that was introduced was to make sure that the actual consumers are buying it and using it rather than people are just speculating on that. Now the beauty of the NRST is that if you have paid that 15% tax and within 4 to 5 years you become a permanent resident, or you decide to move yourself there, you get that 15% back.
Oh, all right.
The second best part about it is that, for example, tomorrow you decide that you want to send your kids there, and they are registered in a degree program, which is about, which should be at least a minimum of 4 years. Okay, if you're doing a 4-year degree program, you still get that 15% tax back. So there is options you could do that. Now at the same time, if you're investing in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada, no issues at all. Then you don't have to pay 15% tax.
Yeah, but why would they want to impose this? Is it because there's lots of foreigners invest in these particular areas, or?
That's right. What they did, this tax actually came into effect in 2017. Again, one of the reasons was that they did not want it to be speculated. You know, you don't want people to just keep buying the properties and not actually using it. So the idea is that the end consumers should be able to use the properties as well. For example, I'll tell you the rentals are very high. In Toronto or Vancouver or even in Montreal. Again, the reason is there's so many population and so many people are migrating there. They need a place to live, so they want to make sure that the actual consumers are using it, and you know, appreciation should be there. People should be able to invest and enjoy the appreciation of that, but should not be based on speculation that I'll just keep this property today and just because I know the prices will go up tomorrow on that.
But I guess right now with the trend, majority investors are buying into it is either for own stay or for the kids, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, especially a lot of people who are coming, who have kids who are coming for education there, they are buying for their kids on that because universities accommodation or around the area, as I said, the rents have been high. So most of the time it makes a lot more sense to buy the property and let your kids, you know, use it rather than just renting it out. And by that time, as I said, they graduate, they finish, they've already seen that appreciation of 4 to 5%. So we come across a lot of people who are buying it, especially for if they have kids coming in for the students. And most of the time, we have also seen that people who are moving there, they're buying it for themselves because that's going to be their first house as they start their life.
Okay. And the other thing I would like to know is like, can foreigner own landed properties in Canada?
Yes, a foreigner can own any kind of landed property. See, the good thing is that what I believe is that in other countries that there's a leasehold and there's a freehold as well, right?
Yep.
So with Canada, there's no leasehold. So that means you actually own a landed property when you own a property. So it's not like you're renting it or you have a lease for 99 years or sometimes 49 years as we were discussing earlier. So nothing of that sort. So once you own a property, you own a property. Yes, there are different property types. There is what we call something as a residential freehold. A residential freehold means that there is no maintenance fees along with that. You still pay the property taxes, but there's no maintenance fees. And then we call is a condominium or a non-freehold. What it means is that if it's a corporation, it's a condominium, you pay a maintenance fees, but then you're getting services for like a concierge services, a gym services, swimming pool, you know, something like that. Other than that, yes, no restrictions.
Oh,
beauty of Canada.
Wow. That's great to know. Okay, what about taxations in Canada? Is this very high or is...
See, the taxation in terms of the property taxes is that even if you're a resident or a non-resident, if you are, whenever you buy a property and you sell it, again, two things to it. If you're buying it for your own self, and it's your matrimonial home, what we say is that where you and your spouse and your kids will live, if you bought it for $100,000 and you sold it for $1 million, there's no tax on it at all because this is for your personal use. So you never pay tax on that.
Okay.
The taxes are only on investment properties. For example, you own a house for yourself and for your kids, you will never pay a tax on it. The moment you buy a second house, and then you do it specifically just for the investment purposes, and then you flip it or when you sell it at that time, you will pay a tax on it. Again, the taxes are determined as per your personal income, but just to give a general rule of it, again, the beauty of it, if you have made $100,000 on a property, the first $50,000 is tax exempt. That means your 50% of the profit is tax exempt. There's no tax on it. And the rest of the 50%, there is a tax on it. So if you look at the overall calculation, it's about, I would say, anywhere between 15 to 20%. So you still make about 80%.
So regardless of how long you hold the properties?
Regardless of how long, because it all depends upon what you bought it for, what are you selling for, whatever is the capital appreciation difference on that.
So just now you do touch about the capital appreciation, so I would like to highlight it again. So you were saying that roughly every year how much they gain?
So every year for last few years we've been seeing an average about 6 to 8%. Interesting fact, every year there's a Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation Society, which ensures the mortgages which is less than 20% of down payment. They just had a report come in for 2020, and normally CMSC is a bit more reserved in giving its price increase. They're expecting a price increase of 5%. Again, mainly, usually there's a lot of demand, supply is still less, a lot of people are coming in. So it looks like the market for last 2019 has been pretty much up, and we're expecting another at least about, I would say about 7 to 8% increase in general of the market. But if I go specifically maybe in Toronto or Montreal and Ottawa, I think it will be much more than that.
Okay. How do you see the property markets in Canada for this year?
I think the Canada property market has, I see it in terms of the areas which I think will be very, very hot, will continue to grow. Obviously, as Toronto or the Greater Toronto area we talk about. Apart from within the Ontario, the other popular hotspots I think is the Hamilton, Niagara Falls is going to be very hot. Kitchener, Waterloo area, there is an area called Bowmanville. I'm talking about the Ontario. This all will be very hot. This is about an hour away, 45 minutes away from Toronto. These areas will continue to rise. Ottawa, I see that Ottawa market, we have seen an increase of about 6 to 8%. I think the Ottawa is still an untapped market. We see a lot of potential happening in Ottawa as well. The other market to watch would be the Montreal market. The Montreal downtown prices have gone up quite a bit as well. If I do the comparison between downtown Toronto and downtown Montreal, we are close to about $2,000 a square feet in Toronto downtown. Whereas if you're in Montreal, you can still find something between $800 to $1,000 per square feet. So I think the Montreal market is something you should watch for 2020. It's going to be very hot. Toronto market, Vancouver market will still continue to grow, but will be slightly not as aggressive as compared to these markets on that. So we're very positive about 2020.
That's good to know. Okay, just now you did mention that there's actually quite a lot of people actually migrate to Canada as well.
Yes.
Can you just share a little bit of the migrations process? With
Sure.
the rules and regulations, is it easy to enter into Canada?
Sure. So as far as the immigration is concerned, the policy for the Canada has always been they have always welcomed immigrants. We need about a lot of people, at least 1 million by 2021, to come to Canada, and we've been trying to put up on the pace as well. The good thing is that for IQI Canada is that we have started immigration services as well. We started these services in last year with our another setup called On Point. So it's IQI On Point Immigration Services, where we provide these services to any of our clients who need that on that. So I'll do touch base on it. So there is 3 different categories where people are coming on right now. One is called the skill category, again, or what we call the express entry. Now on the express entry, normally the applicable programs, it's either it's a federal skilled worker program or a skilled trade program. I just touch base a little bit. The minimum criteria should be at least a bachelor's degree, which is equivalent to the Canadian standard on that. You should have a minimum of IELTS of about 6 in each module. Minimum of 3 years of work experience, and if you are under the age of 35 years, you get qualified very easily into this program on that. When you're coming in, you got to have some proof of funds as well. The reason they ask for proof of funds is to make sure that you're able to survive for a few months till you get your job. Again, anywhere you're looking at for a single applicant for $12,000. If you're a family with 1 child, about close to about $20,000 on that.
They actually do not go by the point system like Australia, right?
They do go by the point system as well. So what happens is that this is the minimum criteria that you need to do it for your qualification. So if you have a bachelor's degrees at least, you are under the age on that, so then you get into what they call as a CRS point system on that, and you will be picked up every month out of that system on that. So you still have to be in the point system, but you still have to have a minimum eligibility to get qualified for that system on that. So that's for the federal, the express entry. Now there's other programs available as well. What we call is the study permit programs. You know, I mean, anybody who wants their kids to come there, we can help them as well. You know, in finding out the right universities for them, giving them the full background at how much a university would cost them, what would be the price on it, and things like that. We can give all that information as well on that. The other one is called the business category. Okay, and there is a federal and a provincial program that we call as a provincial nominee program. It's called PNP. Again, the minimum, again, it all depends from which province you're going to. I'm just giving a general overview because then going to specific will take a much more longer time on that. So giving up the general specific about it. So the minimum requirement is about 200,000 Canadian dollars. Your net worth in terms of your investment or what you have invested outside should be about a minimum of $600,000. So when they look at the minimum, your net worth, what they want to see is that what properties you have owned outside Canada, they don't have to be in Canada, and where is that net worth come to you? I mean, is it something which was inherited to you by your parents, or is it something which you have built on that? And there is KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte. These services are used to verify and to see your net worth on that. Again, your eligibility should be that you should have some kind of a minimum 2 years of business or a senior management experience. They're not looking for a specific industry experience. Okay, they're not looking for a specific business you have done. Because we do get a lot of time questions asked that if I am doing a certain business, can I do the same business, whether this business will be eligible or not? So what happens, Mandy, is that not necessary, right? I mean, any business which you're doing in Malaysia or somewhere outside, you may not be a potential business there. But what they're looking for is that have you been into that senior position? Are you able to create some jobs and do the business on that? So all in all, at IQI On Point, we provide all the services, whether it is related to skill, express entry, whether it is related to study permit, or whether it is related to any of the business migration. So we can provide you with all the solutions on that.
So for those who's interested to know more about the Canada Migrations Program, you can actually leave a note, a message in the Facebooks. We will be able to answer you. Okay. Is it very difficult to apply? Normally it takes how long to get the whole process?
Yes, not really. We have seen the express entries going in as quickly as within 6 months to 3 months, as far as all your documentations are done the right way. See, the most important thing which comes right now is the IELTS, which is the English language as a foreign language, a test that needs to be taken up. As far as you're scoring the right numbers in the IELTS, and you're applying on it, we have seen the cases getting processed within 6 months, 3 months, and you could actually be landing in Canada within about 8 to 9 months. As far as the study permits are concerned, there is a lot of fast track options available that could be done within a month, month and a half. As far as the business migration is concerned, again, the hardest part of it is getting all the documentations together, making sure that all your evaluations are done correctly, your net worth is done correctly. I would say that the fastest we have seen is anywhere again between 8 months to 12 months, you can get it done. So it all depends how quickly you can process your documents. So for immigration, we always say, it's all upon you that how quickly you can provide the documents.
All right. What if, this is a common question that as an investor or as a person who wish to migrate to Canada, for example, people will ask, if I were to buy a house, can I automatically eligible for getting a PR?
Unfortunately, no. That's a very common question which is being asked as well. Again, as I said, the criteria is very much based on, see what Canada is looking for. Yes, investment is one part of it, you want to do it. They actually want people to live there and be a part of this beautiful country. So just buying a property and getting immigration, unfortunately, doesn't work that way. There is certain programs which can get you qualified as well. For example, if you own certain properties, there's a property management coming up, and that's creating a job. But again, that's a different program altogether. People will go. But if you just look into strictly that, I walk in there, I buy a condo or I buy a residential property, and I decide that I need to I get a PR card on that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. But I can tell you one thing, if you are a foreign investor and you have bought a property in there and you are applying within the process, what I've mentioned, the guidelines, I'm sure they do consider that part that you're showing some ties already before coming into the country. So that's definitely a considerable factor, but that's not the only factor.
All right. Okay. Let's summarize today's topics, and we talk about invest in Canada is easy. Okay, there's no restrictions when it comes to any amount,
Yep.
any locations,
Yep.
any type of properties as well,
Yep.
be it landed or condominium.
Yep.
And all the properties in Canada is of freehold.
Yes.
This is very important as well. And in terms of the ROI, is pretty good.
The ROI, return on investments, is very good. So right now, capital appreciation is about, as I told you, 7 to 8%. The rental returns, you can look at least, again, 5 to 6% very easily on that. The overall market in terms of the investments in Canada, it's all looking good. It's continue going to rise, and we are seeing that the interest rate will continue to be lower side. Immigration will always has played a major role and will continue to play a major role on that. Again, Canada needs people, and the good thing is that also, as I said, so many students coming in. What happens is that, just want to add, when the students finish their degree, they get about 3 years of work permit, and then they apply for their permanent residency as well. So overall, the population will keep increasing. The prices, as of now, will keep increasing. So always should never wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Yeah, that's right. We always say that. Of course, the best things that we like to hear is that we can actually get financings.
Yes.
Yeah, because
yes.
a lot of international countries is like we can only allowed to buy cash. There's no local financing.
Sure. So I just want to add one more thing. When you talk about the ROI makes such a huge difference when you're buying a property on cash and you're buying it against the financing on that. You're putting a 50% cash and you're getting 50% financing. Your return investments are amazingly great on that. Anything, just give you an example, if you put in about $100,000 in a pre-construction project as a down payment, you could expect it that by the end the project is handed over, you will get the $100,000, at least appreciation on that. That has been the norm on that. One more thing I just want to add, I know we're almost at the summary, is that you have an opportunity that what we call as an assignment clause. That means that you can actually sell the property at the time of closing with the approval of the builder. You can actually sell the property out as well on that. So.
Okay. The other thing is like normally we talk about how long do you actually able to rent out your units?
As much as you want it. There is no restriction. But minimum is 1 year lease. Normally when you sign up a lease with a tenant, you do 1 year lease. There are certain corporations that allow you Airbnb as well. So you could have an Airbnb as well. But there is no minimum requirement that you should keep a property of at least for this many years on that. Another good thing is that because of the students coming in, just came to my mind, there is also a lot of rental guarantee programs going on right now, especially with the student rentals. Yeah.
Okay.
So you could get up to a rental guarantee for about 2 years to up to 5 years. In fact, we're recently working on a project in London, Ontario, where there's a university there, and we're doing a 5-year rental guarantee program as well on that. Again, it's a peace of mind for the investors because you know it, and why we do a rental guarantee program, because we know so many people are coming in, so there's no problem at all.
So I guess the only worries that people who invest overseas is like, is there anyone to take care of my properties? With our presence in IQI Canada, in fact, we have 2 branches in IQI Canada.
We have 2 branches right now. One is in Toronto, the one is in Cambridge. We are expanding this year for sure. We are looking to open a branch in Markham, Richmond Hill area. We are going to Montreal and Vancouver right now. We're doing the properties in Montreal and Vancouver as well, but our presence is already there. Our actual offices will be launched up this year as well. So yeah, for any sort of property needs in Canada, we are ready to help, in terms of property management, in terms of buying, selling, commercial, residential, pre-construction, anywhere in Canada. Team IQI Canada is always ready.
So we have our local team in Malaysia to serve you, as well as we have Canada local team to serve you, even though you bought a property, and you do not have to worry about who will rent your properties, Absolutely. Who will help you. With our local team supports, you have no worries. That is very important for investors.
Yes. Peace of mind is very important.
Yeah, peace of mind is very important. Okay. Do contact us if you want to know more. Log into our IQI Global websites to check out all the Canada projects that we have. And of course, if you need to contact us, by all means, you can actually email to us, mandy@iqi.com, or
Yousaf at iqiglobal.com.
Yes, that's right. And lastly, I want to stress this question again. What is the populations of Canada? Whoever gives us the closest answer will won a Sony radio alarm clock with LCD clock. Stay tuned with us. We have more series coming up. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to check out even more fun, entertaining, awesome content, please log on to our IQI Network website. And please don't forget to subscribe to our IQI official YouTube channel for the latest update and contents. I see you all there.